هو الذي أنزل السكينة في قلوب المؤمنين ليزدادوا إيمانا مع إيمانهم ولله جنود السماوات والأرض وكان الله عليما حكيما.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهديه واستنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I pray to Allah Azza wa Jal that He has by now elevated our hearts to be something that He's pleased when He's looking at, and that He has purified our hearts and filled it with Iman, peace and tranquility. Today's hadith was narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him. He said that the Prophet ﷺ said, if a person who's afflicted by anxiety or sorrow, if he says this dua, Allah will relieve him from his anxiety and sorrow. What is this dua? Listen to it carefully. O Allah, I am your slave, the son of your slave, the son of your female slave. My forelock is in your hand. Your command over me is forever executed, and your decree over me is just. I ask you by every name belonging to you which you named yourself with, or revealed in your book, or you taught to any of your creation, or you have preserved in the knowledge of the unseen with you. I ask you that you make the Quran the life or the spring of my heart and the light of my breast and a departure for my sorrow and a release for my anxiety. If someone makes this dua, Allah Azza wa Jal, the Almighty, will take away his sorrow and grief and give him in their stead, he will give him joy. So the companion said, shouldn't we learn it, O Prophet of Allah? And the Prophet of Allah said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, indeed, everyone who hears these words must learn them. This hadith is quite long, and it is actually loaded, but we don't have enough time to go through it. Yet we would like to take what is mostly related to our topic, which is the hearts. So in the beginning, as the hadith says, the Prophet is directing us to say words at times of sorrow or anxiety. So sorrow is a depressing feeling you have over something that took place in the past. Anxiety is a depressing feeling you have over something that you're expecting to happen in the future. And this is what life is all about. Something that was done in the past or something that we're expecting in the future. So whenever you have this and you say this dua, then Allah would grant you these favors. Number one, whatever you have in your heart towards events that took place in the past, Allah will take them away. And whatever you're expecting to happen and you're afraid of, Allah would make you firm. And a third benefit and a blessing is that the Quran and nothing else would become the spring of your heart, the life to your heart. So your heart would be revived by the Quran. So you would never go astray, and you would never be someone of sins. The life of one of us and his death, the happiness and his misery, the health and his calamity, all of those are in Allah's hands subhanahu azza wa jal. And if you believe that your forelock and the forelock of all humans and creatures in this universe are all in Allah's hands, controlling them as He wish, subhanahu wa ta'ala. He controls them as He wishes. If you believe in that, and this is what your conviction, then you would never fear anyone, and you would never hope anyone, and you would never place them as if they are owners. You would never have your hopes attached to them. Only then your tawheed, your tawakkul and trust and reliance and dependence on Allah, your worship would be solely devoted to Allah Azza wa Jal. So he said, out of confessing his own poverty, his own need, that your command over me is forever executed. This is total submission and surrender. Not only that, when the decree is done, your decree over me is just. Whether my son dies, whether I'm afflicted with a disease, whether poverty strikes, all of this is Allah's divine decree. And I believe it is just. So I will always be content. And this relates to all types of decree. Whether it's health or illness, whether it's wealth or poverty, whether it is things that we desire and find our lusts in, or things that are painful, whether it's death or life, whether it is a calamity or a punishment, all is part of Allah's decree, and we submit and accept that it is fair and just. Then you beg Allah Azza wa Jal by His beautiful names, and you say, I ask you by every name belonging to you. And Allah Azza wa Jal has names that are countless. We can't count them. As per the Hadith, Allah has 99 names, 100 minus 1. This does not limit the hadiths of, this does not limit the names of Allah Azza wa Jal to 99. Rather, these 99 names, if we were to understand their meanings, memorize them, implement them in our lives, and worship Allah by them, then they will admit us, with the grace of Allah, to paradise. So there are names that we don't know of, but I ask you by every name belonging to you, whether you revealed it in your book or you taught it to any of your creation, so people, other creation may know it, or you have preserved it in the knowledge of the unseen with you, which means that there are names that no one knows of except Allah Azza wa Jal. Then, after expressing my humility and my poverty and asking, and after I'm showing and glorifying and revering Allah Azza wa Jal through His names, I then go directly to what I want. And all of this that came before it was to reach my target. And what is my target? That you make the Quran the life of my heart, that you make the Quran the spring. The word Rabi'a Qalbi. The word Rabi' is spring, and spring is the season of the year where happiness is spread all over the place. The animals go and graze and find what they're grazing and feeding upon visible and available. Spring is the season where you see Allah's mercies, signs after rainfall. And when the earth is revived and becomes alive. And likewise, the Quran is the reason for all types of Allah's favors and blessings to appear on us. Whether it is the favors and blessings of Allah, of Iman, of knowledge, of the relief from the darkness of kufr and ignorance. Spring, or the word Rabi', refers to the season, and it also in Arabic refers to the rain, which Allah revives the earth with. So the Quran was giving the similitude and the similarity of rain, because as rain revives the land, Quran revives the hearts. Imam al-Shawkani says, in the Hadith, we're asking Allah Azza wa Jal that He makes the Quran like the spring, like the rain, which allows the animal to feed and graze. And likewise, the Quran is the spring and the rain of the hearts, which makes the heart comfortable to the Quran, inclined to it, interested in reciting it and in contemplating upon it. The hadith has many, many benefits, but this is the most important benefit. That you want life for your heart, you have to ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make the Quran the life and the spring and the rain for your heart. That would relieve you from sorrow, from grief, from anxiety, from the fear of what may happen in the future. And scholars stated that no one will benefit from this hadith to relieve their worries and anxiety except those who are considered to be people of the Quran, those who recite it as it should be recited, and they act upon its rulings, and they have it in their character. Because how would Allah Azza wa Jal make the Quran a source of light and healing and guidance to someone who has abandoned the Quran, doesn't recite it, does not act upon it? The Quran is the spring of the heart, is the light of our chests, it's the relief of our sorrows and anxiety, only to those who are considered to be among the people of the Quran. Those who are not among the people of the Quran, they are among those who have abandoned the Quran, and they would not attain such a favor and blessing from Allah Azza wa Jal. Unfortunately, a huge chunk of the Muslims nowadays have abandoned the Quran. And this is a cause of grief and sorrow. It is a reason to worry about when you find that the Quran has no place in your daily routine. A day, a week, maybe a month may pass and you don't even recite a single ayah, let alone contemplate upon the meanings and learning the tafsir and knowing the vocabulary of the Quran. Isn't this shameful? We watch movies, we listen to songs, we read novels. So many times I travel and I see people on their 8 or 10 hours flight or a train trip holding books and novels and reading it. Rarely you will find someone holding the Quran, studying it, contemplating upon it, memorizing it. On the contrary, a lot of those called Muslims if they hear the Quran, they say, Akhi, turn it off. A'udhu billah. Why? He said, I don't know. When I hear it, I feel that it's a funeral, that someone is going to die. I don't have a good feeling. A'udhu billah. This is how Allah described the disbelievers, that whenever they hear the remembrance of Allah, their hearts are repelled. But when anything else is mentioned, they are filled with joy. May Allah protect us. Those who the moment they open the Quran, they start yawning and falling asleep. Those who do not know anything about this glorious book, the word of Allah Azza wa Jal, how do you expect their hearts to be? Yes, on the exterior they look fine. Their bodies are fine and they're beautiful or handsome and healthy, but their hearts are dead. There is no life. Their hearts are barren. It's like barren lands. There is no plantation. There is no rainfall. There is no life in it. How many of us have such dead hearts? We hear the reminders, we hear the dhikr, we hear the Quran, and we don't even blink. Isn't this sad? This hadith is a wake-up call for all of us. We all have worries and anxieties. We all have our mental problems. But if we don't start studying the Quran and dedicating a portion of our daily routine to it, our hearts will go sick and inevitably it will die, and that would be the end of our life and the beginning of our confusion and our depression and our loss. May Allah Azza wa Jal revive our hearts with the Quran and grant us studying it, loving it, and understanding what Allah wants from us in it.